The vagina can be found between the urethra and the rectum. And so this is it right here. The urethra is actually bound to the anterior wall of the vagina, and this can cause issues later in life for women, especially for those who have had a few babies. Although the uterus tips anteriorly, the vagina is tilted to the posterior. The major functions of the vagina are to receive the penis during copulation, provide an ejection route for the birth of a baby. That sounds kind of weird that I put ejection route, like you're ejector seating a child. Anyway, and to provide the route of discharge of menstrual fluid. So the vagina, it's the opening that ultimately leads to the uterus and all of the stuff that it may contain, like a baby. The vagina, much like the stomach, has rugae, which were these very large folds that are able to expand. And you can see them in the histological picture here. During copulation, when the vagina receives the penis, these rugae expand. The fornix is this little area here, just that little area there, that is created by the cervix descending into the vagina. The vagina has its own muscularis that is very separate from the contractile layer of the uterus. And the vagina is also contained in its own serosa, which is thick enough to be called adventitia. And this separates it from the other items in the abdominal pelvic cavity. The vagina is lined with stratified squamous epithelium. This is somewhat keratinized since the vagina is open to the outside. We've seen this stratified squamous tissue at almost every single opening, such as the mouth and the anus. The stratification of the cells allows for cells to be scraped off or sloughed off without damage to the tissue overall. There are no glands in the vagina, which is different than any other epithelial open to the outside that we've seen. There are no glands, although there are mucus cells scattered in the mucous membrane of the vagina. The vaginal wall actually it secretes an acidic mucus and also receives some cervical mucus via seepage. The cervix is the interior portion of the uterus that sticks down or kind of like falls down into the vagina. The epithelium of the cervix it's complicated. It's a transition zone from the uterus to the vagina. But one thing that is characteristic to the cervix is the production of a lot of mucus. You can even see some of that mucus balling up on the histological slide here on the apical surface of the cells. The cervical mucus thins and thickens during the menstrual cycle according to hormone rise and fall, and this cervical mucus thickness can be used as an indicator of fertility. Around the time of ovulation, the cervical mucus thins out. The hope is that after fertilization, there'll be a copulatory events leading to the union of sperm and egg. The thinning of the mucus makes it easier for the sperm to swim through the fluids and ultimately reach the uterine tubes. A few days after ovulation, the cervical mucus begins to thicken under the influence of progesterone from a corpus luteum in the ovary. This thickening is a way to ensure that the developing embryo will not have competition. The thicker mucus makes it harder for sperm to swim to the uterine tubes and meet up with an ovulated ovum, causing a second pregnancy. This is also the basis of progesterone-only birth control. Progesterone thickens the cervical mucus, and as long as you take the progesterone only birth control pill every single day with no exception, the cervical mucus will remain thick. If you miss one day, that cervical mucus plug will degrade and wash away, and you'll have to start taking your progesterone only pill for a while to make another cervical mucus plug. Cervical cancer is way more common than you could know. I know probably half a dozen women at FLCC who have had cervical cancer. Luckily, there is a really easy way to get checked for cervical cancer every year, and another way to check for it every other year. Nowadays, women are recommended to have a pelvic exam every year, and this allows a gynecologist to visualize the cervix, check for what you see here in these pictures of the cervix. And every other year, women are recommended to have a pap smear done. Despite the unfortunate name of pap smear, this is a simple scraping of cells from the cervix. These cells are then stained with a very specific combination of stains called the Papanicolaou. I never know how to say it. Pap stain, and it lends its name to the name of a pap smear. Cells of the cervix, they should look all the same, and they should all take the stain in the same way. The picture on the left pretty much shows that. The picture on the right shows cells with no uniformity in shape and very different staining processes.